Good evening, Grafton, and welcome to the November 4th, 2025 school committee meeting. I call this meeting to order, and we'll start with public comment. Is there any public comment online versus? Oh, how was a look? There's nothing in the room.
Nope,
No.
nothing else.
Okay, then seeing none, I will jump into general business, and we will start with the teaching and learning update with Jen Banyan. Welcome, Jen. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Joke, and we are before you guys come in. Year one, I talked much year two technology stuff since the year, which is smooth
Fill it today.
all the way through. So thank you for having me. I know you have a busy agenda, but I appreciate being a lot of time to give you a quick update on what we're working on in the curriculum and staff development department. Yeah. So just to give you a quick update on what's new in the Grafton Public Schools in terms of assessment data, our curriculum progress, and some developments in staff development practices. So we thought we'd start out with just a quick data dive into this year's MCAS, and then also connect it to the accountability to data, starting out with our progress in science class. So excited to share that in the Grafton Public Schools, in terms of meeting or exceeding by grade level. I think we're at about 61% overall. The state was in the low 40s, I think 3%, 41%. So it's nice to see we're almost 20 percentage points higher than the state in terms of meeting or exceeding. In regard to math, similar situation. We're at about 54th percentile overall, I believe, and the state was about 43% overall. So you can see that there's some great growth there, and you can see there's a little bit of work to do in third grade. So we're going to take a look at that. But we like to see the progress there, especially in light of the fact that we implemented resources 6 to 12 in math. And similar situation, our story with language arts achievement. We had, again, about 54% of students meeting or exceeding expectations overall, and the state was right down around that 43% line. So Grafton continues to perform well on the assessments. We always want to be above the state, and this is testament to the hard work of our teachers, our students, our families. So you may remember that Grafton also receives, every district in the Commonwealth receives an accountability report, and it's based on a series of targets set by the state in terms of measuring both achievement and growth for all students, and then student subgroups in all of our content areas. It also takes into account attendance, advanced placement, course participation, full enrollment, and graduation rates. So we have some real glows from our accountability data that I'm excited to share. In terms of advanced coursework, you can see that the high school is up to 80.4% of students participating in either advanced placement courses or a dual enrollment offering. It's a 22.4% increase for our students with disabilities and a 15.8% increase for our low-income students. We're really excited to see that. We're really grateful to the high school staff who has worked so hard to make this possible. I know it's been several years in the making, so it's great to see who students are benefiting from those efforts. Another round of glows for our non-high school students. We know that we want to see both high achievement and high growth. And in language arts, the overall for all students, we saw a growth percentage rate of 52.6. 50 is the goal typically. So that was really great to see. And same in math, we saw 52.2% for student growth. And again, that's in spite of implementing a new curriculum resource for language arts and for math in 6th grade. Continuing with our glows, our student subgroups for non-high school, we saw some gap closing for our highest need students. We've been focusing on our students with disabilities, making sure that they meet the targets. So we saw that we met the targets set by the state in ELA, math, and science, non-high school levels for students with disabilities. And this is really exciting. Our English language learners saw jump in 17.4 points. They were up to a 62.7 proficiency rate, which is pretty incredible. And that is due to our ESL teachers. They did a lot of work the last 2 years around looking at student data, creating systems to analyze and collect student data so that they can really communicate and collaborate effectively with classroom teachers and families around targeting specific skills. So it became clear that our students were performing the speaking portion of the access assessment, which is a standardized assessment used to determine proficiency rates for ESL students. So our teachers really zoomed in on making sure our students are doing much more speaking, getting a lot of feedback, giving a lot of feedback to each other. So it's been great to see that trajectory that our students are on. So along with the GLOWs, there are always some GROWs. So we use the data to figure out what to do to continue to drive achievement and close gaps. And I was surprised to see that we're looking at chronic absenteeism again. The maximum points you can receive for these accountability ratings is a 4. And last year we received a 4 out of 4 in both the elementary level and the secondary level. This year, the elementary were a 2 out of 4 and a 0 out of 4 at the high school level. So we have to figure out what's going on. Why are we slipping back a little bit? Because we had been this great post-recovery trajectory following COVID, because you can't achieve and demonstrate growth if you're not here to participate in learning. And at the elementary level, at the high school level, 47.9% of our students with disabilities are demonstrating what's called chronic absenteeism. And that's, let's say 18 days or more, it's 10% of the school year. So if you couple that with the times that a teacher might be out, or there might be assemblies and things that impact participation in instruction, you can see there's some room for growth there. In our non-high school, our elementary levels, we're really seeing a bit of an increase in our English language learners absenteeism and our Hispanic or Latino students at about a 2 to 3 point jump there. So something to take a look at, work with families and teachers, and make sure that we're really making sure that kids are here. And I just put presence, your physical and mental presence matter, because I know we're doing a lot to address distractions in the classroom and things like that. So wanting people to be present physically and physically while they're here at school. Looking at achievement, we're looking for the same trajectory that we're seeing at the elementary level to be evident at the high school level. So our high school students show low growth in math. So we really want to look at what's driving that. What can we do to show an increase there? Our lowest performing students and our students with disability, 30 percentile, 50 percentile, in terms of both percentiles. And again, the goal is 45 to 50%. So we'll take a look there. We know that the new math resource has a lot of strengths in terms of meeting the needs of all learners. So as teachers are learning to use the resource, we hope to be better equipped to meet the needs of students as well. And in non-high school, despite the high growth, the overall achievement score for all students declined a bit. Again, implementing new resources in lots of places. So we expect to see that, but keeping a close eye on that to make sure that we can cover it for them. Any questions on any of that part? Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a few questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much for this presentation. I really liked the GLOWs, of course, and the GROWs. I have a couple questions. Do you know offhand how our MCAS are balancing back to pre-COVID? Do you know where we are in that?
We're not quite where we were pre-COVID. We're seeing pockets where we are hitting those levels. So we saw a nice upward trajectory in 5th grade, not quite in 3rd grade. Little work to do at the high school.
Yep.
Language arts, 7th and 8th grade. I think because they're in year 3 of Wit and Wisdom, we're seeing a really nice increase there. And it's interesting, Paige Cooper was the humanities coordinator last year, and she was able to do a lot of work with that data and realized the rigor has increased so much because of the adoption of Wisdom, which we call an HQIM, high quality instructional material, that the high school wasn't prepared for what they were now receiving. It was different than what they had received in the past in terms of student growth and achievement. So then makes my job really fun, because then you're looking at vertical alignment and how do we close that gap so that we can increase the rigor at high school because kids are ready for it now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a nice place to be in. In terms of curriculum instruction. You know.
Great. Thank you. And then my other question was just going back to the chronic absenteeism. So is it 47.9% like of all students, or is it all the students who are chronically absent? 47.9 of them have disabilities?
Of our students with disabilities, I believe,
Okay.
I'm speaking correctly, I believe of our students with disabilities, 47.9% were absent 18 days.
Okay.
Wow.
And
But
then,
I will verify that for you, Laura, and get back to you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
You know me in numbers.
Mhm.
And I think, I mean, I'm sure when we look at it, like, do we have a plan? Like, obviously, I think these are concerning for all of us in this room, and nobody likes to see it.
Mhm.
It is like talking with the families, building supports. I mean, I do feel like we do offer a lot of those things already. So do you have any thoughts yet?
I do. I feel
How to
like
address
it's
it?
drilling down to putting a name with the data
Yeah.
and working with this individual student. When I was an administrator in another district, we did something called the S3 Academy, and it was taking all the data you had on the learner. So their interests and hobbies, their hard data like we have here.
Yeah.
Is anything going on in their world that's different than usual?
Yeah.
And putting all that together to make a plan for the students. So I think that we're at that level. Kristen Pro and I actually spent the day today kind of creating a tool that administrators could use with teachers to do that kind of work. So we're going to be working with principals this week and next week. We have leadership meetings around how do we drill down and figure out, because you get to where you're, some of it works for cohorts of students, but really some you're planning for individual students and figuring out. And our staff is really skilled in that area already.
Yeah.
But I feel like these data points give us greater depth of focus.
For sure. I mean, and I know this is it's a problem throughout the country. It's not a Grafton only problem. I think that's just.
And our data doesn't look bad compared to.
Yeah,
Just-
absolutely.
Yeah,
I
it's just, and we were 18.1%, I think, last year overall.
Yeah.
High school. So increase to 20. Not a huge increase, but still the fact we're on an increase
Right.
versus a decline.
Yeah. It's, I think overall we're like facing like a kind of almost just epidemics throughout the country of what's going on with kids. I mean, I have so many theories, but none of which I can solve tonight. So thank you. You answered my questions. I appreciate it, Jen. Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else have anything?
Let's park. I have a couple, Jess.
Yeah.
So the advanced coursework piece is really impressive, actually. So do we know what like the state average is or where we fall? I mean, 80% of our kids doing some level of advanced coursework.
I know
is
that we
impressive.
exceeded the target, and it's rare to exceed a target.
Yeah.
So we have DART data. So if you'd like, I can pull that for you and share it with Jay to share with you in subsequent meeting, because we can look at our DART schools with similar demographics.
Yeah.
Is what that is about, to figure out what the targets are for those districts.
I just think that seems like something we should be really highlighting because I think it's really impressive.
I
that
know
we're-
from my time here the last 2 years that's been a focus in
Yeah.
high school. It's really
And even our students with disabilities are accessing some, I mean, it's just, I'd love to tell more about that, to know more about what's happening there and tell that story a little bit, because I think it's been great. The other area of where it seems like we've had a lot of really good growth is our English language learners. And so I'd love to be able to kind of dig into like, what are we doing that's special there and how can we,
the piece of it is staffing.
For sure.
Added 2 people.
Yeah.
Because physically it was really challenging to meet the minimum expectation for what kind of service we were providing students before. So I think that part has been tremendous.
Good.
And then the caliber of teachers we have doing the work is really incredible. And we've been able to, with the meeting times that we have available after school now, I meet with them once a month. This year, I used Title III money to create 2 stipended physicians so that we have a secondary person and the elementary person who's boots on the ground with people. So I meet with them once a month, and then we meet with the team once a month, so that they're developing the tools for progress monitoring our students, making sure it's consistent, that we're updating them, that we're communicating with teachers. So we've shifted to a model from reporting around report cards to really doing shorter term intervention. And the goal is to be able to say to a teacher for the next 4 weeks, work on this discrete skill rather than this long period of time work on acquiring English. So I think that's a great model. Our teachers have worked so hard. Our students have worked so hard.
Yeah.
It's more challenging at the high school because you have a lot of students who are entering school for the first time in the United States and learning English as a high school student. So at the elementary level, typically it's 6 years that students receive service in learning English as a second language or multiple language. So you see more change over time at the elementary level. In addition, lots of kids are learning to read and write and learn letter recognition and sounds and things like that at the early elementary. So the gap's not as wide. It's not as deep to fill. So, and a lot of our high school students are reaching adulthood and have additional challenges like that what are for younger students maybe don't necessarily have to grapple with. So stop right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Sorry. Christy, go ahead. Yeah, in regards to the English learners, and you said 24% have absenteeism. Are we finding it's due to travel? Yes, that's often a piece of it is depending on cultural needs and where family is. We often lose students for a chunk of time, often next stretch. Yeah, November to January can be the time when you see a lot of absence. So how does that work with catching them back up when you see a major stretch like that, like 3 months stretch? Families work really hard to make sure that learning continues while kids are out of the country or traveling, but you can't replicate the instruction that's happening in the classroom. So it's challenging to provide work the student takes with them because it's not direct instruction, missing components of it.
Based kind of Leora's question, but with the AP courses that the students with disabilities are taking, are there modifications or accommodations to the? Okay.
Yep, for sure. And if for most of our students, it's the same target and a different pathway, maybe to getting to the target, but really trying to meet Desi's new vision. The language they use is grade level or beyond. So we're really trying to make sure that we create pathways and scaffolds for students so that they are accessing grade level curriculum. That's been a shift. And I think you could see it in the growth data. I saw a lot of work around that last year. I'm thinking one grade in particular, where in the past we've talked about, we used to bring the student who was the student was reading at a 4th grade level, and then in 7th grade, we used to provide them 4th grade reading material. That's what we were told was best practice based on current research, but that research has shifted. So now it's bringing the student up to a level of how to meet that rather than happen. So I think that is really impactful. Student learning. And I think our teachers are embracing it, really doing a great job. It's hard work, meeting the needs of all learners, but I don't see anybody shying away from it. Well, take you through the last bits here. Right. So in terms of curriculum implementation, we use this 5-phase cycle. And right now we have a lot going on. So a lot of things are in different phases of these cycles. So phase 1 is prepare, prioritize, and plan. Phase 2 is investigate, select. Phase 3 is implement. Phase 4 are kids refine and align. And then phase 5, refine, align, and assess. And then oftentimes you find yourself back at the beginning of a cycle. So just a quick update on where we are. We have the Democratic Knowledge Project Lead the Way, EL Education, and Illustrative Math are pretty much in that phase 3. The implementation piece can take 1 to 2 years, sometimes 3, is what we've learned from the work that we're doing. And we're looking at what does student learning look like in the classroom using this resource, and what educators need to transition successfully to using this kind of resource. It's a big shift. Honestly, it's a big shift in terms of instruction. And then Wit and Wisdom and Envisions Math are in mostly phase 4, refining and aligning. That's usually a year-long process. What's going well, what can be adapted to help us meet our instructional goals. So that teacher expertise is coming into play as we've gotten the hang of the resource. We're really good at what we do. How do we mesh those two to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all our students? When I started, I made this very beautiful chart with my very lofty goals, and we had more people doing the work. So we're in pretty good shape in terms of where we are. We're too far off, and that's due to the skill of our teacher leaders and our administrators really making sure that the work continues to move forward. So our 7th through 12th science teachers are collaborating around learning all they can this year about phenomena-based instruction, performance tasks, so that can ultimately guide us in whether we need to adopt a resource or we can modify the curriculum that they've created themselves. As our elementary teachers feel they have built their abilities and capacity in implementing EL, some of them will start to shift to working with the science teachers so that we have some cohesion across grade streams in terms of what we're looking for our students. And then we'll do the same kind of work in social studies. So in terms of professional development, staff development, we've had some new partnerships there this year. So the goal was to hit cohorts of staff who maybe were joining in on something that wasn't necessarily designed for them. So we're trying to shift that so that everybody has something that's more geared to their role and responsibilities. So this year we partnered with French River to offer a specific professional learning target to our speech and language pathologists and separate offerings for our paraprofessionals. We've also partnered with Mass Partnership for Youth. We've had that partnership in the past, but hadn't really explored it to the depth that we did this year. And we found we could also have customized offerings. We do virtual live workshop sessions for our parent educators with them as well. They have a whole library of resources that we use in different pieces. And then we also, since we don't have our curriculum coordinators this year, we started something called Curriculum Leads. And we have elementary teachers who signed up to share their enthusiasm, their passion, their expertise in EL education. They bring a lot of curiosity to the work, and we meet as a team once a month, and then they go back and support their grade level teams in progressing through implementation, seeing what else they can learn in terms of how to use the resource. So that's been tremendous. First meeting was driven largely by Kristen Perrone and me. And then second meeting, we really tried to turn it over to them so that they could tell us, lead up and tell us what the teachers need, what are they ready to do next in line with the district strategic plan. And then the last thing I'll share is that we had our first meeting of our Grafton English Learner Parent Advisory Council called an LPAC. I was thrilled to meet some really wonderful people from the community who came. I was surprised someone came. But we talk about topics that are relative to being an English learner or the family member of an English learner. Family members are invited to join us, not just parents. The community members are welcome to join. It's actually a parent-led advisory council, so I will start to fade back, and my role will really be to help support getting people to come out and making sure we liaison between parents and school district. But that was exciting. I couldn't have done it without the help of the tech department here, Maureen Malloy and Crystal LeBron, who helped me figure out all the ways that you can hold a meeting with people who speak different languages. Luckily, the people who came were very kind and took good care of me during our meeting. So I can't wait to meet with them again. So our next meeting will be in January. You know, it's really update. Crystal.
Yeah, Jen, I was just wondering, how do you feel that AI is affecting our curriculum right now? Right now it's kind of the Wild West out there.
Yeah, I went to, I've done two things. One, Maureen and I went to AI Palooza this summer because that's what we do. And we went to the MassQ conference, which is a 2-day conference in Foxborough, which is focused on technology advancements and instruction. And we heard a couple of things that resonated. So one is stop saying we're behind and we need to catch up because there's no such thing. Two is just start, get people using tools and learning what works, what doesn't work. 2 years ago, Neil Trahan and I, Neil, he we come along for the ride. He and I chaired, but really I was following his lead, the AI task force. And the first year we worked with students, teachers around creating some opportunities for professional learning, a plan. And then last year it was mostly principals on the task force. And we worked on drafting the guidelines that we have shared. And Crystal LeBron and I worked every month to put out what we call bite-sized learning around AI. So every month we put out something for teachers and something for other staff that they could potentially try out just to start to get people's feet wet. This year we are bringing the band back together. The task force will continue. DESE released guidelines in August of this year. I wished it was mid-spring, but August is better than never. So this year, the task force is going to look at the guidelines we created and DESI's guidelines to make sure that we have some nice alignment there, that we don't miss anything. We have a strategy attached to our guidelines. So we developed a red light, green light, yellow light system. The high school administration has done a really good job helping teachers implement that this year. So we're looking for their feedback on how that's going. A lot of districts we learned in AI Palooza are adopting a platform like Magic School or School AI or Conmigo. So we are going to explore what those tools and resources do to see if there's a match. We're in the hunt for our needs here in Grafton. So that will be hopefully by June, the end outcomes of the task force is to see what we can put in teachers' hands to continue to help them refine their work, be the most efficient that they can be, and if there are supports for students. And what we learned from students in the task force was that they are already using it to create study guides for themselves, to reteach if they miss due to an absence or just didn't keep up with the content of the lesson. So I was really impressed by what what the students shared they're using it for, because overall, it seems really appropriate. And I know, not naive, so I know what's going on out there, but I was glad to see that it's using it as a tool and resource. So lots of that will be ongoing work.
Do you think that we'll start maybe seeing it in like computer science classes early on with young kids, like teaching the ethics of AI and proper usage?
I don't think in the near future we will. I think we'll start at the secondary level and it will trickle down based on what we learn doing that work with the secondary level. I think because of age restrictions and parent choices and just wanting to keep kids safe while we learn it and figure it out for students, I think that we'll be cautious but proactive. Okay.
Good. Good thoughts on AI. Just a side note, I work very closely with a lot of AI, and one of my clients actually just is about to publish an AI in school study and who's using it the most. And they focused on how actually superintendents and school communicators are using it. But one of the big stats was that like 90% of school, people are using it, but it's still like there's no policies. Right. People have so many concerns. So again, we're kind of all in the same, once it's published, I'm happy to forward it along. Great. But my question was, you made a comment just about how, I think you said less people, right? And I think your department was impacted last year by our budget cuts. So I'm just, we've already gotten questions about, what kind of the impact was of that. And it's kind of a loaded question, Jen, but just in general, especially when you're implementing so many new curriculums still, and we're still kind of seeing, I think we've kind of seen with the math, like there was just some learning curves that affects our kids. Like, how do you feel like that kind of impacted your department?
I feel fortunate that we have such strong teacher leadership and such strong administrative leadership in the buildings. Agreed. Because I feel like that's keeping us going forward.
Yeah.
What I loved about the team that we had was that there were people who were solely focused on the needs of a cohort of teachers and were able to, so a couple of teachers said, this is the most supportive we've ever felt, because when we have a question, if somebody doesn't answer right away, then we can keep moving forward.
Right, because we've never had that. We've never had more than one person, really, or one or two, maybe doing part-time curriculum. Sorry to interrupt.
Right. No, that's okay.
So that was kind of a really impactful thing.
There's always such strong intent, and there's only a limited amount of human capacity and time in the day to do all, sometimes things physically, they can't all get done. So it was really nice to have people who could do deep dives in the data and do all the analysis and give people what they needed, or who could go in and do actual coaching one-to-one with teams or individual teachers. We could see the growth that was driving. So I missed that part. And it's that, I always feel like I'm never doing enough, never in the right place, because there's just not enough to go around. But then I remember the great we have hardworking teachers, great leadership at lots of levels, and Grafton's always been strong.
Yeah.
So Grafton will continue to be strong, but I felt like we were making such progress so quickly, even though we never had the same team for more than 6 months at a time, and the dynamics, the numbers changed, the makeup of the team changed each year that I was the last 2 years, but still, I feel like we really able to dig in, get some cool things done.
That was a great answer. That was kind of an obnoxious question, so I appreciate it. I appreciate how you answered
I
it.
think one of the coordinators used the language sticky, so it's really nice to have somebody who can figure out the sticky parts
Yeah.
and figure out solutions and help teams look forward in a real focused, concentrated way so that we're maximizing the time or collaborative time.
Great. Thank you. And thanks to your team and to our teachers, of course.
Yeah. I appreciate the service that all of you do for our district. It's a lot of work. You're unsung heroes, so I really appreciate it.
Right, I wouldn't call myself a hero. But you can.
Thank you. Anyone who look at us.
Is that it?
Oh,
Thank you, John.
you're doing so great.
Before she runs.
That was awesome.
Thank you. Great. Thank you all.
I can't.
Bye, Jen.
Make sure you distract.
Yeah, it is very distracting. All right. Well, next up, we've got some budget development talk.
You're gonna have to delay for a second.
All right.
Close
And
the
we got a
laptop.
joke.
Nice
Chris-
job, Jen.
No.
Yeah.
Christy?
You're doing so well.
Not for free.
Hey, I feel like I had a Halloween. Halloween's over. I gotta move on the Thanksgiving joke. Or no, Thanksgiving joke.
Thanksgiving isn't funny.
Dad jokes book.
Yeah.
To us recently, so I'll tell you a good dad joke.
Okay.
Daddy thinks is really great. I just learned sign language. It's coming really handy. That's all.
I thought you were like telling us what you just learned Sunday.
Exactly. I was like, is this a?
I'm going to tell you the joke. Use it. No, that
That
was
would
it.
be
That was
great.
the whole joke.
If we knew
You're
that.
running on.
Are you ready, Jay?
That was very
You
bad.
didn't love that joke? Here, wait.
I'm like,
Oh, we're there.
a bunch of jokes, but I can't remember.
Wait, here we go.
I'd rather joke than budget.
Good budget.
All right. Budget's fun.
Yes. It's important. Don't make a joke out of it.
That's right. It is handy.
Oh, hand.
And tell her I made that joke at school committee. She will be so excited. She is going to love it. She's going to love it.
All right. All right. I'm going to just briefly go over the review the timeline for budget development, talk about financial conditions and assumptions that were very basic, the conditions and assumptions that we're taking into account while building FY 27, and then talk about special education costs, focusing on circuit breaker. As we get into it, it's basically, we spent some time at the joint meeting was it last week or the week before, really focused on insurance, kind of on the municipal side. That's their big issue and struggle in, without a doubt, special education tuition and cost of transportation. I'll get into it obviously in depth. Nobody's at fault, but both are just every year increasing greatly. And it's just a huge challenge for us. And then I'll lastly just touch on next steps. And as always, just interrupt me as we go. So we've now reviewed, met with all of the principals and all of the directors. We have all their workbooks, basically all of the raw data is together in front of Kathleen. So she's working to sort through that, organize it. And on the 18th, while we won't have the preliminary budget completed, we will have pre-preliminary information to put in front of the committee. At that point, we'll have to at least start to have the discussion about the type of or the level of services that the committee wants us to build into the budget. We could have a budget that is super bare bones, middle of the road, look to grow and improve, and we'll have corresponding costs with those, but that's hard. There's a budget to have the lights on and functional. Then there's the budget to get stronger, better, et cetera. We'll have that preliminary budget based on that feedback on the 18th. That lets us basically, it gives us direction in finalizing the preliminary budget. So end of November, we'll have that. Kathleen and I met with Evan and Mary earlier this week. We're going to have on both sides, have our forecasts completed and to Mary by the 21st of November. So on our end, we'll have it done, say the 15th, something like that, maybe a little bit before, speak to it, the forecast piece on the 18th when we meet, and then on the 20th, right after that, and the 19th, we'll probably just give it to Evan and Mary unless we get different guidance from you guys. Then we are supposed to have a tri-committee meeting in early December. All four of us agreed that we'd be in great shape for that. And on the meeting in December will be largely focused on the FY27 budget. It's not the end of it. We'll obviously have the holidays. We'll have about a month to make changes, adjustments, what have you, based on feedback, and have a more finalized version in January.
Dr. Cummings,
Yeah.
sorry, before we go on, I'd like to ask the board, actually, in years past on your budget book, especially last year, you gave for each line item, like a description. It seems like a massive expenditure of time and effort. I don't know if that level of detail is needed. And I'd like to ask the board if we think that that time spent on that is needed. For example, like you'd have like gym expenses in middle school, and then the description was gym supplies. It seemed like a really big time
I'm guessing it's for the
consuming.
most part going to be
For you.
the carryover
Okay.
last year. I could be wrong. I can ask Kathleen.
The only, I think I'd ask the board, the only thing I would honestly care about in a comment section is if there was a major change as to if that's a one-time change or a continuing adjustment. Like, for example, the lease on music equipment, that's what, a 5-year lease? Like you would say that that was a 5-year lease so that you would see that that wasn't a continuing, like it's a
Okay, I can talk to Kathleen. I think the budget book is less for the 3 committees and more for,
public.
Joe Smith, the citizen in town who sees that music number and says, oh my gosh, whatever, they're buying a lot of tubas or something. If it has something in there that it's for a lease, it's 5 years.
right, as long as that's like something like that for the lease of 5 years. Yeah, not just like, this was for tubas. Anyway,
Yeah,
no,
right,
whatever.
right.
I'm just,
Okay.
it was just a suggestion
no,
to save you time.
It could be a great one. It's Kathleen's time, so it's easy for me to poo-poo it, I guess.
I think we all want you focused on like substantive work.
Right,
and
that's
rather than
that kind of work.
so, but if it's already there or it's
Right.
easy or
You
it's
don't have to
carryover,
I'm
right,
sure she'll-
whatever.
We don't need,
Yes.
yeah, we
And
don't
she'll be
need,
here on the 18th and the December meeting.
Great.
right, we don't need you to add work is what.
And I-
you know.
Okay.
And I think too, though, your point about, the public being able to access it and understand it when they don't look at these line items all the time or might not remember a lease or whatever. Let's balance those things. So we hear you.
Right.
I hear
Fair
kind
enough.
of both.
I was going to say, I'm sure it got to that point because of those questions.
Yes.
I was wondering though with ClearGov, like, don't you have to like click on and it, or no, we don't, wait, never mind. Yeah, so that's, yeah, it's just, again, I don't know if we want to reduce.
The
transparency.
town has the ClearGov module. We
Yeah.
haven't made it.
Oh.
I want to say it's over 20,000 for the school
Yeah, we'll do
department
that,
yeah.
module.
Yeah,
And we quickly decided.
Yeah. yeah, no,
We're all for transparency, but
Yeah.
it's just an extra cost.
I knew that.
I'd rather that go towards HR.
Yeah,
Whatever.
agreed. Okay.
All right, I've gone 2
Cool.
slides. Financial conditions and assumptions, these are fairly straightforward. We have step and COLA increases for FY27. We're going into year 3 with all 4 bargaining units. So that's fairly straightforward. Federal and state grants, who knows with the way the federal government is operating at the moment, but we're hoping and praying for current funding levels of grants to continue. Chapter 78, we're hoping at the very least remains stable. Special ed circuit breaker, which we'll talk about briefly, we hope to be fully funded, which is at 75%. And we're planning for another out of district increase.
What percentage do we have in?
We don't know. We don't, that OSD like gives us guidance rates, usually between 3 and 5%, but it hasn't held true.
Right.
They may start with the 3 to 5% and then they do readjustments. So we get letters all throughout this year, for example, from different schools that say due to their costs, they're increasing, and that gets the approval and we're on the hook for it. So I don't know off the top of my head what number we're using, but probably 10%.
Okay, cool.
All right. So the Grafton School District in our community has a responsibility to ensure free, appropriate public education for all students. For many students, this is just part of 99.1% of our students within the programming that we built over the years. We're able to keep those students in district, 99.1%. But if I just want to be crystal clear of no fault of any students, any families, the needs, be it medical, behavioral, whatever it might be, we have around 34 students right now who we aren't able to meet to provide that appropriate public education in our district. So they have to go to a different placement. There's a huge range in the placements, the level of services, and the corresponding costs. So the collaborative tuition range is between, for us, $50,000 and $90,000 annually. For the I'll go into the numbers momentarily, but we have 11 students that go out to collaborative placements. We belong to the Aspet Valley Collaborative and the Southern Worcester Educational Collaborative. We do have some students that they don't have programming that meets those needs, and we have a handful that go to other collaboratives. Private day, so the private day tuition range is between $67,000 and $186,000 annually. Residential tuition ranges from $172,000 to $405,000 annually. Transportation is all over the place. It's very hard to get consistent, high quality transportation, which you need. A lot of the students going out of district have medical needs. This isn't just, just hop on a bus and plug your headphones. I was going to say Walkman. Put your headphones in and, you fall asleep. Oftentimes nurses are on and staff are on the vans. It's very, very competitive and very, very challenging to provide reliable transportation to these students. And oftentimes, unfortunately, the rides can be fairly long. So we've lucked out big time in Grafton. I don't know if anybody with better luck, knock on wood, so far with transportation than we've had. So I mentioned 34 students. This is how it's broken out. Every year that number is going to fluctuate. Over the past 6 months, we've had 5 students move in into the town of Grafton. We're now fiscally responsible for those students, but they'll most likely those students are going to always be in and out of district placement. You'll see in a moment that adds up to about $1 million. That of course we can't see that. So at this time a year ago, we just wouldn't have known that. And that's kind of the world of special education. We're used to historically, of course, variation year to year, even within the year. But now it's coupled with the same basic system of funding paired with significantly increased cost needs, and those costs being tuition and transportation. So you can see a wide range of needs, and it's right now at 0.9% of our student population is out of district. I should also mention, we do have students that are in district in our specialized programs that might be tied to nurses, medical needs, it could be therapeutic services, where if those costs, when we talk about circuit breaker, are over about $64,000, you can qualify for circuit breaker. When you think of circuit breaker, most people think of out of district, and that is by largely the case, but you could we do have students in district who have costs associated with their education that exceed 64,000. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So if this is the super basic overview of Circuit Breaker, it's a state reimbursement program it's designed to help offset these high educational costs of making sure we provide FAPE. So it applies to special education students whose costs exceed 4 times the state average foundation budget per pupil. So in simple terms, that state average, let's say it's $16,051 right now. You multiply that by 4, you're roughly, not exact, going to get 64,000. So you get a percentage of expenses above 64,000. They're tied to that student. So the example of the student attending a school, let's say the tuition is 100,000. You would take out the 64,000 because it's only costs above that are considered for Circuit Breaker. So 100,000 minus 64,000 leaves you with 36,000. If Circuit Breaker is fully funded, we can apply for 75% of that 36,000, which if we were to get it would be 27,000. Some years it's 75%. Oftentimes it's anywhere from like 67% up to 75%. Any questions?
Yes. So the 64,000.
Yep.
Is that coming from Grafton's money or is that?
You can't, a student receiving services have to exceed a cost of 64,000 or they're not eligible.
Oh, for Circuit Breaker.
Correct.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if somebody went to a school for 63,000, that we don't even apply for Circuit Breaker.
And we're on the hook for the 63,000.
It's got to go over 64.
Okay. Okay.
Which, going back to, what we talked about, it's not too hard
yeah.
to get over that threshold.
And one more question.
But made a noise. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Do we evaluate students like on a yearly, like IEP to see if they still qualify to attend?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, absolutely. Chris Kitchell and Nicole go to every meeting. It's way more than once a year. They'll have progress meetings there. That happens consistently.
Okay.
And not only ideally the student would come back to their home community and we've got great services here, but if not, it's still our responsibility to make sure that student's excelling wherever he or she is.
Sure. So it has to be 4 times the state average per pupil. Just going to say out loud that we're getting approximately the state average per pupil. Like that's 3 students that aren't getting that money, right? Like that doesn't seem like a formula that makes any sense to me. Obviously you have no control over that. I'm just saying that out loud, like, great, we're getting $27,000, but we only had 16,000 and we're putting in.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. That's all. Saying it out loud.
Yep.
Thank you.
It does trail by a year. Like
Okay.
This, it's not like a live checks flying all
Right.
over the place. It just doesn't work like
This is the moment. Give me the money.
So I mentioned this earlier, when we look at it in a very ballpark sense, that's current FY26 year that we're in, we've had a number of shifts, primarily move-in impact. In total, about $1 million in additional costs that we didn't see coming. This isn't like jaw-dropping what we do. You could have breakage the other way, but it just hasn't been trending that way for us. But this is obviously that $1 million, so it does have to be paid, and you'll see where that impact is going to be.
And to be clear, Jay, just
Yep.
for everybody to understand, that isn't total to address the needs of these 34 students. This is additional unanticipated
Correct.
need.
Yep.
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 I just want to be clear.
And sometimes through the rest of this year, we could have a student
Come on.
in any grade, for whatever reason, his or her needs exceed what we can provide in programming.
Yep.
And you look at collaborative placement, any of those options. So it's a challenge. So when we look at the circuit breaker in terms of just a breakdown, you may recall that last year, like best practice, you want to have a year of circuit breaker in reserve for everything we're talking about, because things are going to change. I'll talk about some other things that change. Things change every single day in this world. We spent out school choice and we spent just about everything. We had $236,000 left over last year that you can carry it forward, like we talked about 2 weeks ago, for a year. And again, the practice for us, like ballpark, we want to have 1.5 million just there. And again, that's not a great deal of money in this world that we're talking about. And we received in FY26, the reimbursements from last year. We had a kind of a banner year in a way. It's a reflective of we had a high cost year is really what it is. But that 2.4 million, a few months ago, we thought the thought was that we'd spend 1.8 million and start building back up the reserve. This is way too narrow a margin to carry. That's just not going to be possible. The way it stands right now, you'll see on the spreadsheet that Kathleen put together, even when we utilize all of our circuit breaker funds, so the carryover from last year and all of this year will still be, as of what's the date, November 4th, negative 60,000. I assure you that number will be larger by the time we get to the end of FY26. And I'll touch on that momentarily.
Dr. Cummings,
Yes.
go back. So on Kathleen's sheet, I was just looking it over. So do you have it in front of you?
But yes, ma'am.
What's the math?
Yep.
Okay. So the total circuit breaker that we'll have is 2.65 million.
Yep.
Your total costs that you're expecting are 4.4 million, correct? It's the
That
30,
would
it's the 3.6 plus the 0.83. Your total costs are the private out of district
Yep.
is 3.6.
Yes, ma'am.
The collab is 837,000.
Looks that way.
So that totals the 4.45.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So with our circuit breaker, again, you should repeat that, is 2.6. What is this general account? Is that you're taking money out of the general account to help fund it?
Correct.
So,
But that was already encumbered and planned for.
so that was encumbered and planned for.
Mhm.
So when you take the 2.65 and that 1.86, you get 4 million, like you get 4.5 million.
Well,
And then you subtract out the total cost, which we just agreed were 4.4 million. So you'd have positive of 64,000, not a negative of 64,000.
well, I will punish Kathleen tomorrow.
I just wanted to make sure that that's
I-
correct, that you,
I didn't do the math on it. Kathleen did, but yeah, she definitely believed it was negative 64,000. I will talk to her tomorrow.
you're
So
welcome.
even if it's positive 64.
Right, it's not a
that
lot.
would
No, it's not,
be
still
lovely,
nothing. No, it's still
But
nothing.
it's
I
going to
just,
end up in the
but
negative.
that's a,
No question.
no, I understand that. I
I
just
will
wanted to
talk
make
to
sure
her
that
about that.
our
Tomorrow.
math is the
I
same.
will, not our math, her math. And I will.
Well,
speak
I
to
mean,
partially,
your math, really, you're the
I will talk to
expert
her.
on that.
That even if it is 64,000, it won't be 64,000, but
Right.
it will be
Like a million.
at minimum a few 100,000 in the negative. No question about that. The other factors just to keep in mind with the special education budget. So I'd love to say it's all about tuition and transportation, but it's just not. The service providers, we have constant changes in what we need for LPNs, nurses, OTPT, speech and language, PCBA services. A real bright spot for us this year has been tuition in students. Right now we have 7 students tuitioning in, bringing in just over $500,000. We have 3 more students that are basically in the queue, and they're in the process of onboarding into Grafton. So we'll have 10 within the next month or two, most likely, which is great. So that's been a real strength for us. I think that was really kind of creative and proactive last year, and it's worked out well for us. Paraprofessional support. Our paraprofessionals are terrific. We were at one point years ago, we were at 158 paras. So we've actually done a lot of work to, I think, be more effective with the staffing that we have. We have 137 now, based on, as of, I think, 2 days ago, we have 7 requests. That doesn't mean they're all going to be filled, but that is something that as the year develops, we'll be adding para need, ideally fading off of some students when it's appropriate. Ideally, it's a wash, but it most likely won't be. Transportation needs, as I mentioned earlier, that's just a constant. We've been very, very lucky here, but it's a real challenge. Frank is in the process of ordering a new van through partially an earmark that we received through the state government over the summer. That plus some maintenance. The operations account, he's trying to purchase a van that would have wheelchair accessibility. Right now, we still have that Poppy van that I think was purchased when I started. That's a while ago. So when I think Frank's at the next meeting to talk about capital, and we'll speak to that. And then finally, next steps, we're going to obviously continue to watch the developing FY26 costs. We bring in, I think I mentioned, a little over 500,000 for tuition in. Right now, we plan to use 300,000 of that to help cover therapeutic costs. That's the SLPs, OT, PT, all those costs. And if we have to, we can use about 200,000 to help offset any deficit that we face here. We're going to, with FY27, if it's possible, we can't have 0 in circuit breaker. We just cannot have any margin. We did set up years ago an account. I don't know if anybody was here. You were here for that.
My idea.
Which you can set up an account through town meeting, which we did. It was funded with $200,000, and the idea was I think it was like every year we'll add to it, but it's never been revisited. And I think we might have $100,000 left in that account. And that's basically towns set those up to be fallback. They're not set up. They're set up to be fallback with, say, $1 million in reserves, and then that's your fallback. We don't have a fallback. So I'm not sure which way to take it, but that would be just insane to go in with 0 margin for FY27. And then we will apply for extraordinary relief in FY26. Basically, if you have costs that exceed 125% of the previous year, for example, that increase of $1 million, you can apply for extraordinary relief. It's a lot like our tuition reimbursement program, where they have a pool of money. And depending on how many people apply, they're going to disperse that money based on the amount you receive is largely based on the need of everybody else, and everybody else's need is going to be sky high. So at best, I think we'd bring in 150, 200,000. Then it could be 0, but we're going to apply in, I think it's January. And if we get it, we receive that right before the end of FY26. And then I mentioned finally that we're looking to expand tuition in programming. I think Chris and Nicole have just done a wonderful job with that. To already be up to 10 is great. We're up to 7 with 3, almost definite. And I think that's all I have, and I can take any questions you might have.
Any questions for
Dr. Cummings, not in regards to this, but a couple of weeks ago, we had asked for transparency purposes that the 273,000 in extra.
Yes, the memo.
Hmm.
I'm going to tell Kathleen to bring a box tomorrow. She might be fired. I will talk to her about that memo.
I think that you blamed Kathleen last week on this,
She's-
and I think it was you that you said
she's
that she had
an easy
handed it to
target,
you
but
and that it was you at that
She's
point.
really got, have a long day tomorrow. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'll talk to her and get on that.
Any questions on the presentation? Stella?
Is there a way to look at the FY 26 budget just to get more familiar with it?
Oh, yeah.
It's on the website, but he didn't put up a memo.
It's an important
goes with
memo. Yeah, I can send you the link
Okay.
to it. That's easy.
Just to get familiar.
Was that a statement or question? Yes.
This is depressing. That's my statement. I am feeling frustrated on your behalf and on our behalf. So that's all. And I'm excited that you're doing the work, and I'm excited about so many cool programs we have. And it just,
Yes, it's definitely frustrating.
it feels
Won't
really
make
hard.
anybody feel better, but
Yep.
a lot like what Jen talked about it with attendance, it's statewide.
Yep.
Everybody's struggling with this, and any and all credit on it truly goes to Nicole and Chris Kitchell and their staff. Not Kathleen.
I also want to kind of give a shout out to the district because of how much we are able to do
Yeah.
in district. And not having to use the collaboratives as much as a lot of other districts in the area. So collaboratives, for example. So this is really difficult to read, but we do a really great job at minimizing this. It is what it is. Costs are increasing, like you said, for everybody.
I just hope that there's, because they are increasing for everybody and there's not enough support for anyone. And I just hope there's some higher level discussions happening around this as well, because it's just, we're all shouldering it, and it makes it hard to provide services. That's all.
All right, well, Rebecca, over to you as the subcommittee chair for the operating principles.
I am the subcommittee chair for the operating principles. Wow. I know. I didn't get a badge or a crown or anything, but
Yet.
it's okay yet. So over the summer, we had that meeting with Tracy Novick from MASC. And she ran a workshop for us called Protocols and Best Practices for Effective School Committee Meetings. And we did some discussions and had some worksheets, and sort of one of the things that came out of that was that we don't have, and it would be really helpful to have a guide, principles and operating principles document to guide us as a group. Thank you. And this is just sort of one of those things that we can put out there, not just for us to use, but it sort of, reaffirms to the community, like, this is what we're here for. This is our purpose. This is our goal. And this is how we work with you, with each other. And so at that meeting, Tracy shared with us sort of an MASC reference document, and then also gave us some resources on looking at documents used by other towns. And we took that in the subcommittee. We looked at the one from MASC. We looked at some other towns. We looked at Brookline, Sudbury, Falmouth, looked at Natick as well. But anyway, this is what I could find before the meeting. And it was fun to talk about them, look at them, and see, like, a lot of our discussion, we would talk about things like, this formatting feels more accessible. And we really want it to be something that feels like this encompasses us as people and sort of what our goals are. And so today, this is sort of our first draft. I'm going to make a motion to accept it as a first read, so we can talk about it and see where we want to go from here. But hopefully it's something that everyone can move forward feeling like it really focuses on our goals and the way we want to be, presenting ourselves and engaging with the community. Did you make a motion? I half made a motion. I did it like while I was talking, but I would like to make a motion to accept our current document in the drive of the operating principles as a first read.
Second. All right, so I'm anticipating discussion because the goal really is to get everybody's input and edit these. So we also have them available to kind of scroll through one by one if you want to make edits. Hopefully everybody had a chance to read them. Does anyone want to start with comments? Hi, Laura.
Yeah, thank you both for pulling this together. I think it's an excellent start. I had really two thoughts at the get-go. One of it was actually just something I think we should think about adding under, I can jump around, right?
Yeah.
On the communication with staff.
Yeah.
And I think this was like said to me years ago when I first joined the committee. And I know I bring it up a lot that I'm the old lady here. And I tried really hard I hoped to not put people the way I felt when I started, but I don't think that always works. And I remember we used to do our member reports before we asked them. And I was like a lot of you guys, I had 2 young kids in schools. I was really active in the parent teacher group. I was everywhere. And I said to the group, I said, well, how do I separate? Like, when am I not a school committee member when I'm just going to see, my kid in the play or whatever they were in, And they said to me, sitting over there, and they looked at me and they said, well, you are always a school committee member, Laura. And I was like, oh God, and I felt crappy and all these things. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that time and time again on just things that have happened to me when I interact with staff. Even people that I consider my friends or my kids' teachers or all those things, they never don't look at me as a school committee member. That was like the best advice I really ever got. And it took me a long time to actually think about that. Is like, I've had people because I do what I'm supposed to do, right? I'll tell Jay, I'll get a text. Why did you talk to my boss? They see me as like a school committee member, regardless of how I see myself. And that was very long, but I wanted to share just perspective and just, learning curve that I still have over the years, that I think it's a good note that you are unfortunately, or fortunately, or however you are, always going to be viewed as a school committee member, even when you're sitting with your teacher and you're going through, your kid's biggest in the back of their mind. And no, sometimes you're fortunate and they don't know you're a school committee member. If you have a last name different from your child,
Highly recommend.
but a lot of times they do know. And you walk into that school, even just to pop in or to say hello, and they're like a school. And it's to me, I'm like, but I'm Laura. I'm wacky. I'm whatever. And
You're always wacky, even at school committee.
right. And they're like, no, this is my boss's boss or my boss's boss's boss. So I think what I'm trying to say is I'd love to just have just a note, be mindful that other people may see you, they see you as, even when I write things online and I'm not always perfect, but you're a school committee member, regardless of what you're doing, and that, like it or not. And I will say, I don't always like it. Right. So it was my first thing I'd like to add. That was really long, and I almost now forget what my second thing. Oh, my second thing was, and this is overall, I think we maybe need to talk a little bit about onboarding or how this is presented and when it's presented, because we did have something like this, but we have really no onboarding process except the person comes in and gets to meet with the superintendent, which is amazing. But the superintendent is then kind of saying, well, here's what my boss, it's weird. But because we don't really have somebody in charge, right? We're all equal, as we should be. Even the chair, represents us. And we don't have a mentorship, which I've always wanted, but it also can be super weird because
Right.
What if you were just running again? I mean, it's strange.
Just weird.
So do we do that in a workshop? Do we kind of anticipate after somebody gets elected, we're going to have a meeting? I don't know, but I'd love to think about how we really onboard people because we're fortunate. We have a lot of guidance from MASC, and this job is really hard, and there's a big learning curve, and it can take years sometimes to understand, even chapter 70. So just being mindful about how do we onboard and get these across to people? Is it just every year at our June meeting, we add it to the agenda and we review it? I don't know.
I mean, I envisioned these being on our website.
but
so that everybody can see, but
Of
so
course.
that everybody can see them and we can, but I do
Yeah.
think there's an onboarding piece and or a mentoring piece. I think that's fair.
So when we started working on these, I was hoping that this would be like, oh, this will be helpful when you're new, to be like, oh, now I kind of understand. And I'm like, I feel like it is helpful in that way. However, it is almost more helpful once you've like, it's not going to tell you everything you need to know. It almost doesn't completely make sense until you've kind of gotten into it a little bit,
right.
if you know what I mean. So I hear exactly what you're saying. I agree. I would like there to be onboarding that feels
I mean, we can think about it and
Yeah.
discuss it, but just
I
moving
don't,
forward.
yeah, it doesn't necessarily relate to the editing of the document, but
It
I hear what you're
I hear
saying.
what you're saying.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
No, I know, it's all, it's like, it's important discussion.
It doesn't. You're right. It
But
doesn't.
I want to go back to you're always a school committee member. I think that's important to remember when we're in the community and talking to people or in meetings. But I would refer you to the first thing in this whole thing, which is that we actually have no authority on our own. I know, I recognize that you were saying that people don't
Yeah,
think of
that's
it that way.
exactly not what I said. But, like,
Yeah.
I just wanted, that is not what I meant. I guess maybe.
No, I
that's
know
how it
that
came
that's not,
across.
no, I know that's not what you meant. What I'm saying is, I think we have to do a better job of explaining to people that like, we individually don't have,
We don't have power, but we have influence. So
Yeah.
so I think I actually don't, I
There's a
agree
balance
with
of
number
this.
one.
Yeah.
Surely are 100%. That's absolutely true. And I also know though, that when we all go into town, we hear from people and we bring that feedback back.
True.
So regardless.
I'm not
that I don't
disagreeing with
have-
you. I'm saying it's a challenge. The challenge is people think we're this,
Oh,
but they don't
100%.
understand that like,
Oh, they think we
you
have
know.
so much more power than we
right.
do.
I mean, who
Absolutely.
among us doesn't get calls from someone because they're like, hey, can you see about this? No, I cannot see about that. That's actually not my role or, you know,
100%.
whatever.
Yeah, that's on us to learn how to like better, but and I see Chris, I think has her hand up,
just-
so I'll stop
Yeah.
talking.
I just wanted to make a suggestion. This is a very lengthy document. Could we perhaps just go section by section so that we're not jumping
Sure.
all
I'm
over the place?
sorry. I was so excited.
I know you're
Like,
excited. It was just
excited.
just to kind of,
Yeah. All right. You want to start with
Organiza-
role of the school committee? Do you have
Yeah, we'll
thoughts
start
on
with-
that one.
the only thought I have is on number 2 on that. Should we include how the committee will measure and review the progress towards the goals for transparency and accountability? Because right now, I mean, we don't even, number 1, we don't present goals. So like, how do we measure them? What is that
Well,
process?
right. So I definitely think step 2 to this whole process is looking at these things and determining, you know, how we do that better. I don't think that,
but I don't think you could, like, you can't, because depending on the goal, the monitoring would be different.
right. I don't
Right.
know that that goes here.
Right.
I think that we should
Or say,
But I hear what you're saying.
aspire
right.
to actually publishing somewhere school committee
Something,
goals and
yeah,
how we will
right.
measure them, but I think that's a separate document.
yeah.
Maybe it's a new subcommittee.
No, God.
Are the goals
Dr.
for the
King's looks
public, like a reach and goal for the
We set our own goals
public school? Like,
For us.
for ourselves.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, but this does say it sets
Says
goals.
the-
I mean, the superintendent does set goals, right?
Yeah,
For the
him.
schools and we
Sure.
measure him on those and
right. But I don't think, I'm not setting
Not
like for
inference.
Jen
We don't have a
Mannion,
vote.
you need to increase kids' attendance to schools by 5%. We should set school committee.
Yeah, I think
goals.
it's school committee
Like one
goals.
of our goals is.
Yeah, I would get rid of Grafton Public Schools and put school committee goals.
Check.
I mean,
Feedback, you guys can go
Yeah.
back and, you know.
yeah, I don't know.
Yep,
Maybe
we'll
this
talk
one
about
is,
Yeah.
is not,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, maybe this one isn't the,
Are you sure?
maybe.
Okay.
Right. I mean,
What?
I just said I feel bad for her. We should have had her go before us because this is going to be.
I hope it's not going to be too late. If it gets
Yeah.
crazy, Delaney, we'll
No, I
take
think
a break. You can do your thing and,
No, I could get, it's interesting.
okay,
Well,
cool.
you've been
I
here
hope
2
it
years
is.
too.
Yeah, so you
try
might
again.
have input. Okay, anything else on that section, anybody?
yeah, I was thinking we could almost, and we can talk about this obviously, but the word sets, we could almost consider having that be like monitor or something like that because it.
And now I'm thinking this whole.
Yeah,
number
exactly.
2
I'm like,
might
we'll
just
just
be
look at number 2.
a little
Right,
wacky.
Perfect. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Do you have an example of a goal?
We haven't done. school committee goals.
We don't.
right, that's the whole
Right.
issue. Like,
Yeah,
do we
Get the
remove
policy
this
book
now,
up.
maybe
I
revisit
do. I
it
could,
later?
I could probably pull one up and send it out what we did in the
Well,
past.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm just curious for.
Yeah.
Our goals are to meet on
Like
Tuesday.
attendance.
They're always like
Is it-
smart goals. No,
No, they're
they're
not
we-
that kind
they're
of.
not that kind of goal. Yeah. Sorry. Keep going. I'm
All right.
sorry. Just hit.
No, it's all good.
All
All right, conduct of meetings. Anyone have thoughts on any conduct of meetings?
I have a question
Yeah.
more than a thought. What does airtime mean?
Oh, it's like, we don't want the meeting to be the Leora show or the Laura
Right.
show or the Chris, like, we all have to give each other time to speak.
Should we
and
use
to
different wording for
participate.
that?
So that, I mean, it literally means, yeah,
But-
don't take up all the air in the room.
Yeah. Right.
But isn't that kind of like up to the chair to like keep the meeting in order?
Yes, but it's also up to us to
To not make it
not
difficult
make,
for the
try to
chair.
make it, the Laura show. Sorry to pick on you.
No, but I think that's what people want.
I mean, you were a fan favorite. I'm not
We
gonna lie.
give them what they
No, but
want.
that's a good best practice, I think, for all meetings. I've seen it before.
Right,
I
I've
don't
seen
mind
it in
having this
business
as like an
meetings.
operating principle, like just be mindful because some of
Yeah,
us talk too much and need to be reminded. That's not the show for.
yeah. I don't know. I'm happy to debate it some more out of this, in our subcommittee, but yeah, that's one I've seen in sort of business
Same.
meeting principles as well.
And then my other question was on number 8, we maintain on executive sessions. And I don't know if this is actually should be one of our goals. Should we include about providing the minutes once the matter of that executive session has been concluded? Because that's when the minutes are supposed to then, for example, like we
I
should
just
be
don't
having,
think that's here. I mean,
like,
that's-
because I mean,
That's a policy, I think, right?
well, it's not a policy,
but it's also not an operating principle.
Right.
I mean, then
but
It's like a,
I think that's
Oh.
like a level down tactically
Yeah.
from what these are supposed to be to me. I mean, if you are
Yeah.
concerned that we're not in a timely fashion posting the minutes of executive sessions, that's fine, but I don't know that that's this. I don't know what other people think.
I agree on both. We need to do some minutes, I think, from past meetings. And I don't know if it needs to be in the operating, but yeah, right. Agreed.
Okay,
Maybe you could put and minutes are to be taken.
well, we take
Well,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
We 100% take them. every
No, I'm
time.
saying like, and
I just
as in
don't,
one
I
sentence.
don't think this is supposed to be a tactical document.
Mhm.
So. All right, communication with the superintendent. Thoughts, comments, anything? Jay, how do you feel about us calling you the chief executive officer?
I don't,
I read that. I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
fancy.
nope,
no, sir.
nope. And there was something, just the one about.
You also get a crown.
Yeah,
What,
the,
the committee members avoid public criticism? I mean, we don't
Yeah, I
really
thought that
ever
was
do
a
that.
little cringy.
We took it from something.
Yeah,
We didn't
no,
make
I
that
know,
one
I
up,
know.
remember?
Right, right.
I think though, and maybe it softens the language, I do think that we should all be mindful of, even in passing, sometimes we'll talk about district staff or something in a
right, right.
meeting.
Sure.
And I think we should be mindful of that because really staff is your responsibility, not ours. So
Hmm.
I don't know.
I'm not sure if it fits in here because this is about communication with the superintendent, not
Right.
about the superintendent.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with getting rid of that one, that number 4, unless
Yeah, well,
if you find it cringy, Jade.
yeah.
The staff piece I like. I just don't think, I don't care about the superintendent. You can publicly criticize me, but I wouldn't want a member. I'm not thinking the 6 of you here. But 10 years from now, the fill in the blank teacher is that would violate the norms
Of anything, really.
Right.
a committee.
Public
Well,
decency.
so doesn't that actually kind of go back to our rule number 1, right? Which was to respect wait, isn't there one about setting the tone or was that in the original?
It's the beginning of section of conduct of meetings.
Right.
Strive to act in a way that could serve as a model for,
Oh, I think it maybe under conduct, something about our conduct
Yeah, right.
about staff, but not like with the I don't know. That's a weird
Yeah.
placement for.
I like that, like somewhere, I think it just, I mean, I would leave it up, maybe you guys just to think about it.
yeah,
I do like it, because I know, look, all of us are just human too, right? Like, we're public and sometimes I say dumb things, right? And I go home and I'm like, why did I say that? but it's very mindful just to be reminded. And also, I do know a lot of our staff watch our meeting too. And like,
Right.
you're like, oh my gosh. Like that when I said to Kathleen, like weeks ago, I was like, well, we could vote to leave for leave. I felt was mortified after sent her apologies, So
He hasn't made out well tonight.
no, Kathleen.
Yeah.
not from
Okay.
From the superintendent
Sorry.
alone, from himself.
Yeah, let's find a place.
Yeah,
for
about
a
the
different
staff,
way to deal
how about the
with that.
superintendent
Yeah.
doesn't criticize the staff? Maybe that.
I don't like.
I think that one is a better one.
Yes.
But then another question is in regards to no surprises. So in the sample document, they have a footnote on that because number 2,
Yeah,
uh,
the footnote.
their footnote basically says it's a relative term, but it's appropriate to make sure that the superintendent is aware of important issues or challenges that will be posted at the meeting. This doesn't preclude a member from asking questions or raising points that arise. So I think, well, I mean, they put a footnote for a reason. Maybe we should as well either have that footnote.
Okay. I'm gonna look at for their footnote.
You can have my document if you want.
Well, I have the document, obviously. I just don't have it in front of me right this second. What
Because
I mean is we'll look at the footnote and try to weave some of that in.
Yeah, because the way it's kind of written now, it's like, well, if you don't ask it before, you're not going to
You're not
ask it.
allowed to ask.
Right.
Well, of course, then how could we ever ask
Right.
speak or anything? Like,
Right. It doesn't make, so that's,
Doesn't
it's
make
like a little precluded, like,
I think
Little
it's not
caveat.
like,
Right.
I think the spirit of it is don't keep something in your pocket to come and be like, ha ha.
Right. Avoid the gotcha moment.
right. But like, I mean-
You have to make that. Mic drop. But I see what you're saying, so we'll take a look and see how we can weave some of that footnote.
Yeah.
So communication with staff. In addition to sort of thinking about this, you're always a school committee member, which I think is fair, right? Like, we are always kind of representing. Did anyone have anything else with this communication with staff piece?
a lot of these pieces I felt were already repetitive, were a little repetitive to what we already had in the communication with the superintendent, like staff are not responsible for addressing the priorities of individual school members. Well, clearly, because earlier we say that it has to go through the superintendent, right? Requests for reports and data have to be channeled to the
Right.
superintendent. Well, before we just said they got to go through, we got to talk to the superintendent first. So it's
Yeah.
like kind of repetitive.
I
It's-
guess.
Maybe if it's for that person, that just goes right to the communication with staff and kind
But
of
then-
doesn't do this.
But then they've already gone over that other part.
But not necessarily, like,
Like if they jump to that.
I see, I know what you're saying.
It's
When
a
I
little
read it in
repetitive.
totality, it is repetitive. I did think that, but then I was like, well, but this section is specific to this and this, if you look at,
Could you combine?
I don't know. It seems
Communication with
repetitive.
Superintendent and,
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like,
oh, because they're different.
yeah,
Make any.
I don't.
I don't know. I feel like
with it being repetitive, but
just based on like with our policy stuff, I find the more that we put in a document, the less likely people are to actually read the document.
Oh, for sure.
So if we can get rid of repetitiveness, like get rid of it, because
Okay, let us think about that section, Rebecca. Okay.
oh, this is great work. Thanks for taking our feedback.
Yeah.
It's so nice to be on the other side of it.
I know, right? Public communication.
should we state on number 2 that like specify that the chair's statements only represent what the board has already voted on? Like the chair of the board's not speaking for the board without the board already having voted on or discussed whatever issue that they're speaking on. They don't represent the board.
No, right,
without
I
saying, like,
understand. We're not, I mean, listen, when are we communicating with the public? We're never, we would never,
I don't know, like
I
on
was gonna-
Facebook and on.
Yeah.
well, right, but
I understand, but yeah, like there's nuances where it's not always like, for instance, I was chair during COVID, the media reached out to me to get like statements on masks. So we did that. It wasn't, I mean, we had voted on it, but like sometimes you're like they also reached out to other members and in our policy about, you're supposed to kind of
refer to the
refer
chair.
there. And also on Facebook, like sometimes they do answer questions.
Right.
And I feel like maybe there could be some clarification on that one, sort of like the the chair would be responsible for officially responding to
Something or other.
Based on, based on,
Christie's point is that
Yeah.
the chair can't just
the chair just
decide
make a
something
statement.
and
Right.
say
Yeah.
something that isn't representative of what the committee has already approved.
But you're
Right,
probably just
by-
reiterating policy. at that
Maybe,
point.
but you should, but that's the point. Like, for example, Leora can't get up and say, oh, we have a no homework policy, even though the board voted on, we do have, like, like you have to represent what our
What-
policies
right. Well,
and what we voted on, like what
Which
what
goes
represents
against,
the board.
number 3, right? I mean, or where is it?
There is a thing when we vote our convictions, but we uphold.
Opponents support the decisions of the committee once they are made.
Yeah, I just think that there should be like clarifying language when the chair speaks on behalf of the,
I mean, if they're speaking on behalf of the committee on governance or policy issues, presumably it's governance or policy issues that we've already.
that have been
discussed
voted
in
on.
open
So I would just
meeting.
add that though, that
All
have been
right.
voted on by the board.
Okay. Right. Okay.
I like another shirt that says number 3. Nor does my face.
Role of the chair and vice chair. So this one, we kind of went back and forth because I have a feeling we took this from a school district that has a much bigger committee.
Yeah.
And our vice chair typically doesn't do this stuff, but I don't necessarily think it's bad if they do. So this one was kind of up for discussion to begin with. I mean, we are only 5 people.
Right.
We're not a school committee of 9 where, I don't know.
Also, there's many committees that have like a mayor as the chair and then the
Right, that's
vice
true.
chair really
It's
does.
really
all
the
the
school
whole
committee,
work.
right.
So and obviously that's,
Right.
maybe
And,
that's clear in this committee as well, that the vice chair.
and MASC doesn't define a vice chair anywhere, like even on there. Like there's definitive documentation, the role of the chair.
Yeah,
Like, maybe we just
I think we just make this
say
chair.
the role of the, but I don't even know if we say the role of the chair and vice chair, this whole section, maybe just defer to the role of the chair and link it to the MASC
Yeah.
documentation, because that has it all in it. Why?
Right,
Very
raise
big.
that, yeah,
I agree.
okay.
I liked the
'Cause
vice
they're
chair.
kinda like-
though, but whatever.
It's
I
kind
bet
of like,
you did.
and that will help reduce the size of this.
Well,
But if we link it, yeah.
okay.
Great work,
So,
guys.
all right, so
Oh.
here's what I'm gonna take away from this. One, wherever possible, let's condense. And then we'll deal with some of the specific questions.
Yeah.
And word changes. And I would say, Rebecca, do you want to?
I can rescind my motion and we'll come back to you at the second first reading.
Can I ask another,
Yeah,
one more question? So we had that workshop back July.
Yep.
The minutes for that meeting, have we seen those? Just because I want to make sure, like, if we could
Sure.
refer back to what we spoke of in that meeting to just make
yes,
sure that
and they
everything we
actually
spoke of.
have the hard copies of everybody's, remember, we all have.
Yeah.
Here with what we think is
Yeah, could
working
we-
and not working. I have everybody's.
Uh-huh.
So I can even scan those and put them in the drive,
Okay.
so people can look at them.
Okay.
Okay.
Guys, really great.
Um,
And then we can discuss like offboard and other time.
we absolutely should. And mentoring.
I've been trying to get that program going at MASC. A lot of people don't want to be mentored. Like you really should be partnered with somebody else, not on your committee.
Oh, that would be awesome,
Yeah,
actually. That'd be a nice way to actually like relationships. and other
exactly.
things,
I have
you know.
personally emailed everybody. Nobody responds. Not even.
Interesting.
Very excited.
Thanks, everybody. Good feedback. I appreciate everyone's
You can have this.
Yeah, thank
time spent on it.
you guys.
I was gonna just throw it away otherwise.
Much easier to edit once it's there. So thank you.
All good.
I
Good
appreciate
teamwork all
everybody's
around.
work to try to.
All right. On to Delaney, our student rep report.
Not that much is going on this week. Fall sports are coming to an end, with girls soccer being the only team advancing to playoffs. Parent teacher conferences will be next week, November 10th and 13th. And Grafton Student Council will be hosting the CDMASC Fall Conference next Wednesday with over 500 people in attendance.
Great. See that? Yeah.
Grafton Student Council at
They're having like the
fall conference
the
for
conference.
their
Yeah.
Great.
like state student council.
That's
Very
very
cool. Baby, that's all. All right.
And you're doing up.
All in this week.
Yay.
Great. That's great. Thank you. Thanks for Delaney. Thanks, Delaney.
Bye tomorrow.
Have a good day. Good night.
Future agenda. Is we move technology somewhere else today?
Yeah, we're gonna,
Already on the second page.
due to that staffing issue, we'd have to anyhow.
Right. So we have to,
Oh, when is it?
I don't think it,
I
We
don't think I,
didn't come in,
yeah,
and we
I
didn't-
didn't put it, oh,
did
are you
somewhere else,
asking
yeah.
if I did put it down?
right,
I have not.
you haven't yet. Okay,
They,
so
staff member's still not back.
not back. Okay, that's fine. And then the other thing is, we had talked about having Nicole come back and do some
Yep, she's
future
ready
stuff.
whenever.
So,
I'll put Nicole and I'll talk to, Maureen Malloy.
okay,
Tomorrow anyhow, so maybe,
So-
she could. We wanted to hit on, AI and have that in
Right.
Krista in attendance, but maybe we do that in the spring and we do other parts of tech.
see what you guys,
All right,
guys
I'll talk to both of them.
see what they think.
Madam
mean,
Chair.
yeah.
I was wondering, can we get the agendas changed where, because right now with the school updates, we see the secondary elementary and then the middle school and then the primary elementary. And, like, can we just start with North Grafton and South Grafton Elementary, then go to the Millbury, like,
Oh, like you wanna
the
flip-
path of a student? I want to go the path of a student to make it more chronological.
Chronological's not quite right, but yeah, like age.
Well, we can try. I
Order.
did we met with the district leadership team last week and we, of course, cemented the dates because they're based on their availability.
Right.
But let me circle back. There's plenty of time, you would think, and I can try to get this,
I don't know, we got a lot.
what are we calling it?
Path of a student.
Path of the student idea.
I
We've
just,
got
like,
to
it's
move,
things
you'd
that
have to move GMS to, you'd have to move a lot.
Maybe.
Unless you could just, yeah,
the high
unless we
school would
get
stay.
North Grafton Elementary School next time, right? Like we
Right.
Let me see what I can do.
everything else.
They'd have to move up. Like,
Don't,
like
don't
Mulberry
go
Street.
crazy.
It's-
it just, it feels like over the years, I know that the agenda, that this whole agenda planning, like, is a carry forward from the year before, the year before, like, it may,
Yeah.
like, maybe somebody got switched at one point.
Like, well, it used to be, we go one at a time, where it'd be,
Used to go to the school.
we used to go to the schools, yeah.
Can we go to
We don't
school?
do that.
North Grafton,
no.
I liked it.
It was.
I got outvoted. North Grafton.
Let's vote again.
Limit that.
We're gonna
That
vote
would be
again.
awesome, actually.
Yeah, I would love
Not
to visit the schools before they
What's
give,
not awesome.
no,
about-
before they give their
Yeah.
report, I would love.
Grafton Television would have to carry
Oh, yeah, that's
all the
hard.
stuff.
All right.
Sound didn't
Oh,
work.
Fair,
It
okay.
was
All right.
awful.
It was.
But could we go like on a tour prior to their prior to their presentation?
Oh, yeah.
We could, why not?
Yeah.
Was
So exciting.
Well, it would give you more
I mean, you're
insight.
there all the time anyway.
Yeah,
all
on
the
Mount
schools.
Everest.
Yeah.
You're at Mount Everest at
I'm going up so fast.
so fast.
Slow down. I'm
Ooh,
gonna run out of energy.
It's
You're
like,
running out of air is really.
Madam Chair.
So now we're doing tours or we're not?
Oh.
Oh, I
To
don't
work
know.
on-
No, we're just
we're not
talking.
deciding
Oh.
that.
Okay.
No,
We work on
but
that.
we are,
Just reach out individually and ask Jay and he will
I
move you
would-
around.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. With Frank.
Oh, good.
wait a
National
minute.
treasure.
now we're all signed
Back
up.
on board.
We're all on board with
On
Frank in
roof.
the new band and Frank's new band.
We're up all the
Definitely go on the
buildings.
roof. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay, we're in.
Book the whole day.
You can,
When's he getting his band?
All right through.
The band, right?
That's
They're-
not for him. That's for,
Okay, can we all go?
God,
You can go on the poppy
that was
band.
going somewhere weird. The band.
It wasn't.
No, but I was, Laura knew.
I know. Well, yeah, of course.
I-
I
I-
wanted to just say I'm probably going to have an MASC update
For next week, next meeting?
after the conference.
Oh, right, of course, yes, so let's add,
There may not.
oh, I bet you will. I think you will.
I might not.
Well,
It's gonna go fun.
Rebecca will have we'll have an update.
Yeah, so we'll add an MASC conference
Maybe I'll come
update.
back with some great ideas.
Yeah, that'll be the next meeting.
And yeah, suddenly the year is over, like
I
the
know.
calendar year, so I don't know where we'd put Nicole. I really wanted her, maybe she'll be the first meeting in January.
Very.
I'll work.
or she could come with a discussion.
I know, we have and that day.
It's just fee, like, we could put it with that.
What fee? When is fee?
February 24th.
The 20,
No, we
Of,
that
oh,
meeting.
yeah, whatever. I'm sure stuff will come up before then that will move there.
Yeah.
Fee disc, oh, that's gonna be tough. Okay. Anything
That's
else?
something. Great job.
Okay. Approval of minute. I won't take a motion.
sorry.
Yeah,
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from October 21st, 2025.
second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion or comments on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll take a vote. All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Excellent. We have warrants. Did anyone have any questions on the warrant? Okay, then we are good on the warrants. So then we have policy.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept policy JJE, student fundraising activities as a second reading.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any comments, questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, motion carries. There's no correspondence. And I don't believe we need executive session. So with that, I declare the meeting adjourned. Good night, Grafton.